Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. In the headlines, Tobagonians vote today, COVID-19 protocols in effect. 26 more COVID-19 deaths recorded, 601 new infections, bringing overall cases to over 75,000. Licensing recalling 700,000 driver's permits over fraudulent activity. And internationally, the UK tightens travel rules amid new COVID variant spread. And now the news in detail. Tobagonians have been turning out in their numbers at polling stations across the Twin Island to cast their votes for the Tobago House of Assembly election. According to reports, voters got in line from as early as 5:30 a.m., waiting for polling stations to open. The turnout has been in large numbers so far, according to reports. Meanwhile, the Tobago political leader was seen entering the Delaford Primary School to vote. COVID-19 health protocols are in place, but due to the large number of people turning out to vote, social distancing was a bit difficult. Tobagonians are being urged to go out and exercise their right to vote and to follow health protocols. Meanwhile, COVID-19 cases continue to rise in Trinidad and Tobago, with 601 new infections reported in the last clinical update. The Ministry of Health said the increase in new cases reflect the results from samples taken between Thursday and Saturday. The additional cases bring active cases of the virus to 12,290 and overall confirmed cases to 75,134. Meanwhile, 26 more people have died from the virus, bringing the total COVID-19 deaths in TNT to 2,262. The ministry said the patients were 11 elderly males, 6 elderly women, 3 middle-aged men, and 6 middle-aged women. Of those 26 patients, 15 had multiple pre-existing medical conditions, including a mix of diabetes, hypertension, kidney disease, heart disease, and a history of strokes. 4 people had diabetes, while the remaining 7 had no known medical conditions. In other news, Deputy Commissioner of Police MacDonald Jacob is warning those who wish to deliberately violate the public health regulations that the law will be enforced in an aggressive manner. Jacob said those who break the law under the COVID ordinance will feel the full brunt of the law. He said since the pandemic started, the TTPS had issued over 21,000 fixed penalty tickets to people who have violated the COVID-19 regulations, including for not wearing face masks. He said between 6 a.m. on Friday and 6 a.m. yesterday alone, the TTPS issued 100 fixed penalty tickets. Jacob said since the Safe Zone initiative started, the TTPS had issued 153 fixed penalty tickets to individuals for violation of the zones and 5 times that to business owners. He also said it was very unfortunate that since the state of emergency was lifted last month, citizens' behavior had changed, as they have seen an increase in the number of people violating the COVID-19 rules. Meanwhile, Health Minister Terence Dialsing has warned the public about large gatherings that violate the public health guidelines and regulations. He was responding to public complaints about a promotional motorcade by Angostura on Friday. Asked whether a motorcade involving women on trucks and music was sending the wrong message during a third wave of the pandemic, Dialsing said it was very concerning what he saw, and added that any type of gathering at this time, even if it is in your home, is something people should think twice or 3 times about. The minister says he hopes that the gatherings in the savannah last week does not result in a COVID spike. In more news, the licensing division is moving to implement new driver's permits by the end of the month. The initiative is aimed at stopping false driver's licenses from being produced by fraudsters, and which are now widely used by Venezuelans and TNT nationals. Transport Commissioner Clive Clark noted that it is unknown how many of these fake DPs are in the hands of non-nationals, but he did confirm that some of the holders of bogus permits are Venezuelans. Clark said one way of stopping the forged permits being used was by issuing new permits with security features and hidden markings by the end of this year, and recalling the over 700,000 valid permits in the coming months. Clark made it clear that the fake permits were being replicated by individuals outside of the licensing offices. Since his appointment in March 2020, Clark said, Licensing Division has picked up a number of false permits containing names, addresses, and dates of births of legitimate drivers, while the photograph bears the image of someone else. He said only drivers with renewal appointments will be issued new permits beginning at the end of December, and a recall of unexpired permits will follow. International news, travelers heading to the UK will now have to take a COVID test before their departure in an effort to limit the spread of the coronavirus, the UK government has said. The Health Secretary said the tightened requirements would come into force from 4 on Tuesday. Everyone aged 12 and over will be required to take a pre-departure test a maximum of 48 hours before leaving. Currently, people only need to self-isolate until they test negative within 2 days of arriving. And that was the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. Recapping the headlines, Tobagonians votes today, COVID-19 protocols in effect. 26 more COVID-19 deaths recorded, 601 new infections, bringing overall cases to over 75,000. Licensing recalling 700,000 driver's permits over fraudulent activity, and internationally the UK tightens travel rules amid new COVID variant spread. Do enjoy your afternoon. I am Vanessa.